I don't know if you can see that. That is Lionel Ritchie in bed. And as part of my sort of photography stories and my life in photography, this was quite an interesting moment. And I just thought I'd tell you that story. I'm often asked, how did I get to photograph a day in the life of Lionel Ritchie? And it's a funny little story because it shouldn't really have happened. And it just kind of, I've just got to clean my glasses. It kind of shouldn't, it's the trouble with clearing glasses, isn't it? They mist up all the time, you have to keep cleaning them. So yeah, how did I meet Lionel Ritchie? Again, it's just one of those things that sort of just happened because I said something silly. And I was in a Greasy Spoon cafe. I think we all like a a lot of those cafes have gone, haven't they? They're all like, all trendy cafes now with trendy people where the dust is all organised. Nothing better than, anyway, I was in a Greasy Spoon cafe, that lovely smell you get, and the characters, real people, you know, I was in this Greasy Spoon cafe, and I was with a PR friend of mine, and she was all blonde and, you know, and looks after lots of celebrities and stuff like that, and we're having a Greasy Spoon breakfast, and I said, how are you doing? She said, oh, I'm all stressed, you know, my life. And I said, well, you've got a pretty good life, haven't you? You go all over the world. She said, no, but she goes, I've got Lionel Ritchie coming into London on Monday. And this was on a Thursday, right? Thursday. He's coming in Monday for 2 weeks, and I've got to organise all his press interviews and stuff. And I said, well, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Hanging out with Lionel Ritchie. And she said, no, it's stressful because he was going to come in 2 weeks, but he's now coming on Monday. They've cancelled part of his European tour. I said, oh, well, you are lucky. No, I am not, she said. I'm not lucky. It's going to be, it's hell. She said, because I've got to organise a day out for him when he arrives. So he's arriving on Sunday night, and on Monday, I've got to organise a day out. And I don't know what to do with him. And I just jokingly said, well, I'll take him out. And she said, what? I said, we could bring him here, take him to a Greasy Spoon for a fry-up. He can meet some plumbers, just talk to real people. Because you see, superstars, they never get, when you become this thing called famous, well, I'm not, can you imagine what it's like? You can't go anywhere. You're sort of trapped in a bubble of fame, aren't you? You can't go and do the ordinary, and it's the ordinary things, isn't it? Sitting on your own in a cafe with a fry-up and reading a paper. It's just so nice with a big mug of smelly tea. They can't do those ordinary things. So that's what I said. I just joked and said, well, I'll take him out. I'll take him for a Greasy Spoon breakfast. I'll take him around London. And she said, Duncan, if you honestly think that I'm going to tell Lionel Ritchie's manager that there's a guy, a photographer, who's going to take Lionel out for a day, do you think that's going to happen? Pigs may fly. And I went on about it. I said, well, you know, I've done a few people. Why not? I'm just a person. Maybe Lionel would like a day out with me. And she said, it's not going to happen. And so when she got up to leave, I gave her a hug and I said, Caroline, don't forget to tell his manager that I'll photograph it. I always say that, I'll photograph it for free. Give your time for free. If you give your time for free, sometimes you can open doors. So I said, I'll do it all for free. I'll give them all the pictures. They can look at all the film. These are the days of film. And yeah, talking of film, oopsie daisy, oopsie daisy. Oh, Daisy. Okay, you have to wait a minute. Sorry about that. It's not a Posh Flicks documentary. It's a Wobbly Flicks. Wobbly Flicks, not Netflix. So cameras, I use these, right? This is a knackered old Canon camera, yeah? It's about 10 years old. It's sort of broken, it's dented, it's scratched. I've never got lens caps. But I've used Canon since I was 15. That's 50 years of Canon. And they're just good, as long as you just paint with the camera. That's the thing, you've got to paint with it. And so I said, I'll photograph Lionel all day for free, and they can have all the pictures. And if they like them, maybe they can let me sell some or approve them for publication. And as I say, she said, it's not going to happen. Now, 2 days later, on a Saturday night, I'm in a pub having a few pints, and my mobile goes. This is 20 years ago, right? And I went, hello, and he went, yeah, I'm Barry Martin. Anyway, he said it was Lionel Ritchie's manager. And I said, oh, okay, yeah. It was like about 11:15 at night. And he said, yeah, we just love this mad idea to take Lionel. Lionel loves the idea of going for a fry-up. And I said, I honestly thought it was someone winding me up. I said, oh, okay, yeah. He said, Lionel's arriving Monday morning. Are you free Monday morning? And I said, well, yeah, are you serious? And I said, okay, yeah, well, I'll speak to you tomorrow. Thought nothing of it, a few more pints. And then the next day, I speak to this guy again, and he says, it's genuine. The day after tomorrow, tomorrow was a Sunday, we want you to take Lionel out for a day. And we love the breakfast idea. And I thought, oh, okay, wow. So, but where do you take Lionel Ritchie? Where's the cafe? And so I found out he was staying in a hotel in London, in Chelsea. So I thought, I'll drive around Chelsea tomorrow. That's the Sunday. So on the Sunday, I go out and I'm hunting around for a really greasy spoon cafe. You know, like I want somewhere sort of grim and raw with those sort of check tablecloths. You know, those lovely old cafes we used to have in Great Britain. And I spent about 2 hours driving around, couldn't find anything. There wasn't really, you couldn't really look on Google. The phones didn't do that Google map thing back then. And then I was driving down this little street, back street, with terraced houses. And I was sort of going to go home, going to give up, and thought I'd just take him to a hotel. And suddenly there's this cafe in the middle of these houses. And it was perfect. It was called the Peterborough Cafe. And it had net curtains, and it was shut. And I looked through the window, and there's all handwriting on the wall, you know, egg and chips, but bacon butty. And I thought, oh, that looks brilliant. But of course, I didn't know if I better take pictures in there, so I had to sort of take a risk. So I thought, well, I'll take him there, then I'll take him on a bus and a train, and we'll do some other wobbly sort of just ordinary stuff. And so the next morning, I arrive at the hotel. They said, knock on his door at 7:30 a.m. I mean, that's early, isn't it? But they said he's always up early. So I go to the hotel, got my cameras, my Canon camera, yeah. And actually, I only had one camera. This camera, funnily enough, this knackered camera. And I'm quite nervous, and I'm even still thinking, is this a wind-up? Anyway, I go into the lift, go up to the penthouse floor, and I'm outside this room. I mean, you are nervous, aren't you? You're on your own. Anyway, it was 20 years ago. Can't even do mathematics, never mind dementia. And there's this beautiful corridor, and there's this big white door, double doors. And I think, oh, shut up. So I knock on it. And I stood there. And you know how long time takes when people don't answer a door. And there's no answer. So I stood there for about 15 seconds. Shall I knock again? Is he asleep? He's probably asleep. It's really awkward. So I knock again. The door opens, and it's Lionel in a dressing gown. And he says, you're Duncan, yeah? And I said, yeah. He said, come in. He said, I'm just reading the papers in bed. And he says, help yourself to it. There was a sort of coffee table there. I helped him with coffee. He said, I'm just reading the papers. Get yourself sorted, and then we'll have this sort of day out. And I said, oh, yeah, okay, Lionel. He gets back in bed, and there's all newspapers on the. And I think, oh, that's a good picture. Lionel Ritchie in bed with no shirt on, you know. So I said, Lionel, do you mind if I just do a couple of snaps now? He said, do what you want. Do what you want. I heard you paint with a camera. And I said, yeah, I like to sort of paint. So I just sort of got the camera, and just went and got those pictures. And then about 15 minutes later, he said, so where are we going? And I said, well, about 10 minutes away, there's a really British greasy spoon cafe. He said, I can't wait. Sounds fantastic. Anyway, he gets out of bed and goes into the shower, and I hear him in there, and I think, oh, maybe I'll... So I knock on the door, and he's had his shower, he's in a towel. And I said, oh, Lionel, can I just do some candid snaps of you shaving? And he said, yeah, do what you want, So I do the shaving pictures. Then he comes out, and he's getting all his vitamin tablets ready. He takes a lot of vitamin tablets, probably why he looks so good. And I shot a bit of that. Then he's got racks of clothes there, Gucci and stuff, and he's putting his clothes on. And I said, wow, that's a beautiful jacket. He says, yeah, Gucci sent me all this stuff. I don't know what to do with it. I said, I wish they sent me something. But, and then Yeah, it was about 8:30 then, still quite early on a Monday. And he says, right, I'm ready, Duncan, let's go. So we go downstairs and we get in my car, right? And I drive, obviously, and we drive to this Greasy Spoon Cafe. Of course, I've never been there, I've never been in it. And I think, I'm a bit I'll go in there first. So I go into this cafe. I walk in and it's packed. It's quite sort of misty because it's the windows are misted up. You know what those cafes are like? They've got a great big sort of chrome kettle, those chrome hot water things where they get the tea. And there's these two women at the counter with their hair greased back. And they're going, yeah, mate, they're pouring out these big teapot and pouring out rows of tea. And I said, oh, hi, I just wondered if I could possibly, could I have that table over there? Yeah, mate, you sit down, mate. Diane will take your order. And I said, well, I'm bringing someone in. Could I just pay for two those Olympic breakfasts? Yeah, mate, you sit down and she'll do your order. So I said, well, I'm bringing someone in. Is it all right to take pictures? You can take what pictures you want, mate. We don't care. Sit down. And I'm going, well, I just want to bring a musician in, someone in. You're bringing a musician in? Okay, who are you bringing in then? I said, well, just an artist, quite a well-known. Oh yeah, who are you bringing in then? I said, I said, oh, I've got Lionel Ritchie in the car. And she went, you got Lionel Ritchie. Diane, Geezer's bringing Lionel Ritchie in. Yeah, you go and get, what's this, Beatles about? She goes, you go and get Lionel, sit him down, you two have breakfast. Geezer's bringing Lionel Ritchie in. Ha ha. What'd you say? So I thought, right, honestly, it did throw me, and I thought, shall I just not do it? Then anyway, I just went outside, got Lionel, and I said, Lionel, they don't seem to believe. He said, don't worry. And he opens the door, right? I'll never forget this moment. And I'm behind him. He opens the door, and he said, hi everyone, just coming for breakfast, like that. And it was like you could hear the dust talk to each other. It was silent. And so Lionel sits down. We get this breakfast, and he's looking at, and he's talking to these people next to us, plumbers, electricians, just chatting to everyone. It was just surreal. But just two tables away, there was an old boy. He's just sitting on his own with a cap on, and he had this bowl of chips with ketchup, and he was just picking them up, and he was sort of sucking them. And I thought, oh God, I wonder if that'd be a nice picture, Lionel chatting to him maybe. So I went over to him and I said, excuse me, I wonder, I've got a musician over there. Would you possibly mind coming over? I could just do a picture. He went, oh yeah, that'd be fine, mate. Yeah, who is it? I said, oh, it's a guy called, you might not, he was like, in this guy was in his 80s, it's a guy called Lionel Ritchie. He went, Lionel Ritchie, what? Stuck on you? Blimey, yeah. So I get him sitting down next to Lionel, and they just start talking. It was sort of beautiful. It was like there was nectar pouring from Lionel's mouth, and they were just getting on really well. And I'm just doing a few pictures like this. And then this went on for about 20 minutes, half an hour. And then Lionel and I had our breakfast. We're talking to everybody. And then Lionel gets up and he says, I want another cup of tea. Then he goes over to the girls and he starts pouring the tea himself. And they're laughing, and it was just one of those surreal moments in life. And that's all because, you know, I said something silly to a PR girl. These things do happen. Anyway, we left the cafe, and Lionel said, where are we going now? I said, well, I'm going to park the car up and we're going to get on a bus. And he said, that's great. So we park the car up, we get on a London bus. We go on a bus. And we get to the end of the King's Road, right? Well, actually, in fact, we went into a couple of shops, and a few people came up to him, and, you know, obviously people recognise him, don't they? But I was trying to I didn't really want him to be around too many people. I just wanted to so I thought I'd take him somewhere where there's not too many people. So that's it, we got on a tube. That's it, we went on the tube. And we went on the tube. And we ended up, I took him to Westminster. I thought I'd take him to the Houses of Parliament. I thought it'd be quite a nice picture, him walking. And by now, it was not a nice day, right? It was that swirly, spitty sort of rain, where it's like, you just get soaking wet. And Lionel's got this sort of beautiful hair all manicured. Anyway, we went across Westminster Bridge. It was really dark, and these are the days, it wasn't digital, it was film. So I shot quite a low shutter speed, and I'm walking backwards in front of Lionel, and he's laughing, he's got a jacket on him. And he said, and by then we got there, it was about half 11, he said, I really fancy a pint in an English pub. I said, okay, well, we'll go to a scruffy pub. And I know a few scruffy pubs. So I took him to this scruffy pub, and he says, right, can I have a pie? And it was only about 12 o'clock by then, yeah. And so he had a steak and kidney pie, I had a steak and kidney pie, we had pints of Guinness, and we just sat there talking, and no one recognised him. It's really funny. It is surreal taking someone like that out. And then what happened? Then I said, well, let's get in a cab, and he wanted to go shopping and look at some clothes and stuff. So I took him into the West End. We were in the back of a cab. He's chatting to the cabbie, and then that's it. We were walking around the back of Knightsbridge, and he said, you know, I really fancy a nice cup of tea again, greasy spoon. And I said, Lionel, it just ain't going to happen around here, because all the cafes they've all been eradicated, and now it's all clinical, you know, where everything's all tidy, those sort of places. He said, I loved that tea this morning. I said, yeah, well, and then there was one of those, I noticed one of those green taxi, well, you know, the taxi drivers, they're called hackney carriage cafes. There was one of those green sort of cafes. And I said, oh, maybe we can get a cup of tea over there. He said, what's that then? I said, oh, that's where the taxi drivers stop. They used to, there's only a few of them left in London. And you can get a cup of tea there. And so I'm queuing up there. He says, oh, that sounds great. So he's behind me here. And I'm at this sort of kiosk. I said, oh, can I have 2 mugs of tea? She goes, oh, yeah, sure, mate. I said, actual fact, and then Lionel said, can I have a look inside? And I said, well, yeah, maybe. Excuse me, is there any chance? Sorry, mate, you can't go in there. It's just for cab drivers. It ain't tourists and people like you. And I said, well, I've got a musician. She goes, no, it don't matter who he is. I don't know who that is, but yeah, you ain't coming in here. And she gives the tea. And then I thought, whoa. And Lionel goes, so Lionel sort of said, that's a shame. And he's sort of looking. And then I said to a cab driver, is there any way we can get in? This is Mr. Ritchie. And he goes, oh, blimey. He said, come in. And we go into this place. And Lionel pours some more tea. There's a big tray of eggs there. And then he starts chatting to everyone in there. And it was surreal. And, you know, when you're out with these people, like these artists, you get a bit, you almost forget you got your camera, but you've got to keep taking pictures and keep painting with the camera, keep making images, because the day's flying along, you know. But it was a really surreal day out. And then, so he really enjoyed that. We just had this real quirky day out. And then he said, well, we'll go back to the hotel. Went back to the hotel, and he said, I'm just going to chuck a dressing gown on. You help yourself, Duncan. I'm going to have a lie down for an hour. And I said, oh, okay. He says, you can stay here in the other room, or whatever you want to do. And so I just sat in the other room for an hour. And then when he got up, he said, oh, let's get a really nice cream tea. So he had all his tea delivered with, you know, strawberries and stuff and green tea. And then I'm doing pictures, and I said, can you just lift it? And he lifted the teapot really high and started sort of messing around. He's so affable, friendly. I think he actually really enjoyed this day out. He said he did. He said he loved it. And at the end of the day, he said, look, what are you doing tomorrow? And he said, we're going to Germany. I said, Germany? He said, yeah, we're going to I'll record a TV show or something. Why don't you come along? And I said, well, yeah, I'll have to ask them. He said, no, you can come, just you can stay the night here. And the next day, we fly to Germany, and we're at this TV show, and then later in the afternoon, Boris Becker turns up, you know, won the Wimbledon, Poor old Boris, not in a very good place at the moment. And yeah, that night, then Lionel said, why don't we get a Chinese? So he got a takeaway, and we just messed around. We had was this wild night of drinking and Chinese food. It was just really good fun. But well, that's kind of how it happened, how I took the pictures. And then what I did was, back then I was shooting film, not digital, and had all the films processed onto big contact sheets and showed the manager. And I wasn't sure if they'd approve them, because there's a lot of really different pictures there, and they loved them. And him and Lionel chose about 50 pictures and said, we want you to distribute them around the world, get them in any publication you can. We're so grateful what you did, Duncan. And that's kind of how it happened, and the pictures got published, yeah, all over the world. And I think the moral, the thing about this is, a lot of the time in life, we want things, we want to do things, but we just don't ask. We feel awkward because humans don't like rejection. And even I don't like rejection. There's things I want to ask now. You might see someone on the street you want to say hello to, and you think, oh, will they be awkward? But I think if you just keep suggesting silly things, sometimes silly things can happen, and it was a silly day out. But that's really the end of that story. I don't know if you ever feel low and get depressed and feel like, I don't know, just feel low. Well, I do a lot. And one thing I do to try and help myself is I draw robins. We all love a robin, and all you need to draw one of these robins, sorry about this, is these crayons, just sort of crayons, and you just draw it. But when you draw it, try and draw it like a child would draw it, like you would draw it when you were 3 or 4. I don't know when you last drew a robin, but believe me, when you scribble around with these crayons and you just draw it really badly, do you know what I mean? Like all scruffy, like a 4-year-old would. And one other thing is, the other day, a lady sent me a message on Just Say Hello, and she said, oh, thank you for doing your films, blah, blah, blah. You're really kind. And I'm not that kind. I'm not Mr. Perfect Pants, I can assure you. But she said, I've made you a present, and you won't believe what came in the post, right? She's made a doll of me, right? And her name's Edith, and it's got little blue eyes, it's got my scarves I wear, and it's even got my arthritic ankle trainers. And I just thought, does look a bit like me, doesn't it? Anyway, what was I going to say? So yeah, I'm going to go back now to drawing robins. And I hope you have a lovely day wherever you are, and I'll tell you another photography story next time. Okay? Take care. See ya.